G'day. Last month I showed you how to use a hand winch. It was damn hard work. Remember that? I broke out in a sweat big time. This month we're going to take the easy way out and use an electric winch. Let's have a quick run through what each part is. This is the main winch body. You've got your motor at one end, the drum in the middle with your spool of wire. Up this end you've got a lever to engage and disengage the clutch. You've got your roller fair lead that gets mounted to the front of your bull bar like this, and it has the cable and the hook coming out of it. You've got your main control box which hooks up to your battery to get the power. You've got your remote control handle. So with this you can either stand out to the side or even sit in your vehicle and operate it safely. And of course, even these sorts of operations have to have the same old recovery gear. You've got your tree trunk protector, your winch cable dampener, and also your leather rigger's gloves. So let's now show you how to set up a single straight line pull. First up, we'll just plug the remote control into the control box. What I like to do is to wrap this lead around the bull bar a couple of times, just for safety's sake. That way, when you're operating it, it doesn't dangle down in the cable. Just leave the whole handle up on the bonnet for now. Next thing we have to do is disengage the clutch, just by turning this lever down here to allow me to free spool the cable out to the tree. Make sure you choose a nice solid tree. Throw your tree trunk protector and keep it down nice and low. Now if they fit, put both ends of your tree trunk protector into the hook on the cable. If not, you may have to use an extra D-shackle here. Don't forget your wire winch dampener. Get roughly halfway between the vehicle and the tree and put a winch cable dampener on. Fill it up with dirt and bits and pieces like that, just to add a bit of weight. That way, if the cable should break, the weight of the bag will pull it to the ground and stop it from flicking all over the place and potentially hitting either me or any bystanders. And the last thing we need to do before we can start winching is to engage the clutch. We can take our remote control, we can stand right out the side, out of harm's way, and do the whole operation from out here. But what I like to do is sit in my vehicle, that way I can steer around any obstacles that need to be negotiated. And also I like to start my engine, which helps charge up the battery while we're winching. This might be slow, but it's much easier than hand winching. I can operate it as in and out on the handpiece. It's as simple as that. I can also steer a little bit. Generally should be aiming straight at the tree. That's your anchor point. That's it. I'm all done. I'm out of trouble. How easy was that? Now that particular winching operation was pretty easy for a single straight line pull. But if you find yourself bogged in really deep mud and you've got a huge load on board, your winch may struggle to pull this big lump of lead forwards. So you should always consider carrying a snatch block. And what that does is halves the amount of energy that the winch has to use to pull your four-wheel drive forwards. You attach it to a tree trunk protector up at the anchor point. The wire cable comes out of your roller fair leads through the snatch block, which is just a glorified pulley, and back to another solid mounting point, a rated recovery point, on the underside of your four-wheel drive. Now always remember that each cable, and in this case there's two, should have its own separate winch dampener. Of course, one step up from a double line pull is a triple line pull. This time we've got the cable coming out of the winch drum, up to our anchor point, through the snatch block, back to my bull bar, through another snatch block, and then the third cable is coming back up to my tree trunk protector. Now, in this instance, my cable wasn't long enough to reach all the way back up to the tree. So I've had to utilise a drag chain. That's just to lengthen this cable. And again, for each cable, you should have your own separate winch dampener on. Before you do any electric winching, you should have a good look at the drum. Make sure there's one full layer of cable wrapped on its entire width of it. If you see any red paint on the cable coming out of the fair lead, that generally indicates that you haven't got enough cable wrapped around that drum. So just wind it back in before you take up the load. Now of course, if you've got a double line pull, it means your winch can pull twice as much, but your car gets pulled forwards at half the speed. And in this case, the triple line pull, The vehicle is going to be 1/3 the speed moving along the ground, but the big advantage is I know I can pull maximum load, so let's give it a go. All right, a triple line pull, slow and steady wins the race.